We hear the report of the CSSA. Mia Kagianas, please present.
Good afternoon, Chair Day, Chancellor White, trustees, and fellow members of the CSU family. First, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who participated in this year's CS Unity Conference hosted by CSSA. Last month, students from across the CSU had the opportunity to learn about and actively engage with system-wide issues, leaders, and stakeholders that provided invaluable insights into the direction of the CSU. We are grateful to the leaders who joined us for our advocacy conversations and offer our continued partnership to you in addressing student issues. This year, the CSSA Board of Directors has identified 3 key areas that will inform our work of pursuing forward-thinking higher education policies and strategies. As a whole, ensuring an affordable, equitable, and holistic educational experience that promotes student success and well-being is the priority for our students. In the process of developing these priorities, our executive committee engaged student leaders on all 23 campuses through numerous points of deliberation and discussion over the summer months, and culminated this year's policy agenda, which we are proud to share with all of you. The policy priorities of this year's CSSA Board of Directors are not dissimilar from the ones that we saw last year, which to us reflects the persistent nature of the issues CSU students are facing and the hard work we all must undertake in improving these conditions. The issues CSU students are grappling with are broad and far-reaching, but also impact certain communities of students more than others, which is why we are also focused as an organization on advocating for equitable solutions that meets the needs of our most vulnerable students in the following 3 areas. 1, enable access to housing, food, and wellness resources that promote overall student health and safety. 2, ensure that the CSU is accessible, affordable, and sustainable. And 3, to ensure the academic success and holistic educational experience of all students. I like to call it educational experience or experiential education, as some might say. The reality is that despite additional attention being placed on the health, wellness, and safety of CSU students, the basic needs of many of our students are still not being met. We know more today about the scale and nature of these issues and acknowledge that the solutions are complex. However, we believe that there are very tangible ways that we can address some of these challenges. And one of those ways is through additional funding dedicated exclusively to addressing students' basic needs. Another reality is that many students are struggling to afford their college education. We know that despite the majority of CSU students not paying for tuition as recipients of financial aid, half of CSU graduates are taking on significant student debt, and that the burden of the debt is borne disproportionately by low-income students, many of those same students who are not paying tuition fees. The growth in non-tuition costs is far outpacing the purchasing power of available financial aid, and our students need solutions that preserve and increase financial aid. Additionally, the need for more sustainable funding agreement between the state and the CSU is absolutely critical. For far too long, students, through volatile and ever-increasing tuition increases, have been left financially responsible for covering the growing costs to operate the institution. Due to this reality, students need to be actively engaged in the deliberations of funding agreements. Students need to see protections on tuition increases so that there isn't the uncertain burden placed on students every year. Students also need certainty that tuition increases are not going to compensatory salary increases, mandatory cost increases, and maintenance of our infrastructure, things that are all absolutely the responsibility of the state of California. An agreement like this would be bold and unique, and that is what the CSU is. And that is what the state of California strives to be. We can do this, and frankly, the millions of future students that the CSU seeks to serve are counting on us to no longer kick the can down the road, but to address this problem now. The last reality is that despite the additional focus placed on graduating more students and reducing time to degree, all boats have risen as similar rates indicating that there are still opportunity gaps for low-income students, underrepresented students of color, and first-generation students to achieve at the same rates as their peers. Ultimately, we know that all of these issues are interconnected, and it is critical that the support structures for students ensure positive mental and physical well-being, ensure that they have the financial means to pursue their education fully, and ensure that all CSU students have a chance to succeed. The policy agenda goals our students have identified are not just our isolated goals. We know from our many conversations with stakeholders, board members, administrators, staff, faculty, that we have shared goals. Of course, some of us may have additional goals alongside the ones identified by students, but we know that these goals are truly shared among all of us. We are, all of us, more alike than we are different, in who we hope to help and what we think our system is, and in what we think it can become. We are all united by a shared purpose to improve the lives of students and thus improve the state of our state. However, there is still so much to do. The steps of any journey tend to be the hardest. To end my report, I'd like to tell a story from the book by Sean Covey called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens that I read as a 13-year-old hopeful entrepreneurship mogul. And in this book, there's a passage about a woman at the airport. She has a chunk of time before her flight, so she buys a bag of cookies, sits down at a table, and starts reading a newspaper. As she's reading, a gentleman takes a seat at her table, and in the corner of her eye, she can see that he's reaching over to help himself to her bag of cookies. He smiles at her and pops one into his mouth. Annoyed that he's eating her bag of cookies without asking, she nonchalantly moves the bag of cookies to be closer to her in order to discourage him. She grabs one, eats it, and once again, the man still goes to grab one as well, smiles, and pops it into his mouth. After several minutes of him and her both eating the cookies, the woman's frustration grows. Then the bag rattles with one cookie left. The man smiles and offers her the last one. And of course she'll take it, the nerve of him to offer her a cookie that was hers to begin with. Soon he leaves, and so does she to go catch her flight, and as she looks into her purse, she sees a full bag of unopened cookies. It turns out that she had been eating his cookies the whole time. We all watch a version of this happen in this very room every time this board meets, on all of our campuses, even at our own CSSA board meetings. So often fighting over how many cookies we all get or whose cookies they are in the first place, that we seem to forget something so important, that there will always be a finite amount of cookies, sometimes more and sometimes less. And in order to share what we have, we need to fight less and communicate honestly about we have more. Our system still faces large challenges. We have not yet eliminated the achievement gap. We still have too many students struggling to feed and house themselves day to day. We lack the critical support services our students need to truly engage and connect to their campus community. To address these issues, we need more collaboration and not less. We need to trust the expertise and input of all stakeholders. We will need to truly give one another the benefit of the doubt, and occasionally, we will need to put our collective goals ahead of individual needs in order for enough cookies to go around. Thank you, Chair Day.
Thank you, Mia. Great story. And thank you and your colleagues for putting together the policy agenda. Look forward to meeting with your board when convenient.